What is your favorite real estate reality TV show? $1 Million Listing? Love It or List It? Flip This House? Property Brothers? House Hunters? Or one of about 20 others? Let's take a look at reality real estate TV and figure out just how real reality real estate may be. Say that 7 times.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Welcome to the Mike Young Real Estate Hour. This is Diamond Certified Real Estate Broker Mike Young, along with co-host Dennis Casey.
Right here.
And we love to talk real estate. That's just what we're going to do tonight until 8 o'clock and every Friday night from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on KSCO AM 1080, Listen and Be Heard Radio. Our phone lines are open at 831-479-1080. Your comments and questions are welcome. This topic was Dennis's idea. I got an email from Dennis today asking if I'd heard about the lawsuit against the show Love It or List It.
Yeah.
Brought by a couple that have been featured on the show. Dennis, why don't you explain about that?
Well, it's very interesting. These shows, you know, as we all know, reality TV isn't all that real. And I often watch HGTV, and it's not just because I'm a real estate agent. I know lots of people that watch HGTV and many of the shows and find them very interesting. You want to see how people remodel their houses and design them, and you know what the process is for buying and selling houses for some of these people, and it's very interesting. But it turns out it's probably a lot of it's no more real than any of the other reality TV out there. This Love It or List It lawsuit is crazy. I didn't realize it was this bad, is what I'm going to say. I knew it wasn't that real, but this is really bad. This couple in North Carolina is suing over renovations made to their home while they were appearing on the Love It or List It show. Deanna Murphy and Timothy Sullivan is their names. And they're suing the company called Big Coat TV. That's a weird name. I know, but Big Coat TV, let me get that out of the way because I might refer to them. And they're suing because they had allegations of substandard work, breach of contract, unfair trade practices, and for having a business model that creates a conflict of interest. What it is they claim that their floor was damaged and holes were made in the floor through which vermin can enter the house. They complain of low-grade industrial carpeting, unpainted surfaces, and windows that are painted shut. A lot of the work that's apparently done for these renovation shows is just done for the camera and is not really, you know, it's like almost like a TV set. But this is really crazy. These guys, this couple, Murphy and Sullivan was the name of the couple, they were renovating a property that was a rental property so they could move into it along with their teenage foster children in April 2015. They gave $140,000 to Big Coat TV, according to this, which was to be used to pay for the contractor and renovation. I always wonder, you know, are these guys getting paid? You know, how much do they get paid for being on TV? And apparently, it's just for the joy.
They're paying to be on TV.
They're paying to be on TV because they only $86,000 of their $140,000 was actually used to the contractor.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yes, this is all a lawsuit. And wow, I mean, they used plans previously drawn up by another contractor, and they were not designed by a licensed North Carolina contractor for the show. I always wonder about these renovations too, because we all know what the permit process is like here in Santa Cruz, and
they get it done in 2 days.
They get it done. It's like, okay, we got to get all your friends over here.
Andy coming in 11 p.m. We're going to go for
Look,
it.
I got to have this done by tomorrow. I have an open house. You know, it's like, what?
Right.
You know, you can't put in a water heater legally without a permit. And if you have it on TV, I mean, I know no one does that, but they're supposed to. You're supposed to, I don't know if you know that, but you're supposed to actually get a permit in our area if you replace your water heater. That's wild. Then it like doubles the cost to do it. It's kind of ridiculous. I mean, I understand why. We're talking about gas and go kablooey, but you know, there's a sense that they're kind of milking the process. Oh, by the way, if you want to call about this, that's great, because your own stories, if you know of anybody that has done this sort of thing or anything like that, be great. But if you want to call about any real estate question, 479-1080 is great. We happily will answer any question we can.
That's 831-479-1080.
Oh, 1080, yeah. And
or 1080.
Yeah, 1080. And the couple also alleges that much of the shooting process was fake. For example, they say the people on set were assigned roles and reactions to portray. And, you know, Love It and List It, you're supposed to go out and there's supposed to be the big drama is, you know, the person renovates it and there's there's sort of almost a set piece where the couple doesn't like the design that the renovator's coming up with, and she says, you'll love it. And then the listing guy shows houses, and the first one's almost always too expensive, and he goes, well, this is outside our range. And there's always one of the couple that once kind of leans towards staying, and one of the couple that leans towards moving. It's almost always that way. Well, apparently they didn't even really go see any houses by a real estate agent that were really available. In fact, some of these shows, I saw this more in House Hunters, are apparently they don't even want you to call them if you want to be part of House Hunters until you've already got your house, and then they're just going to go through the process. And I saw this TV.
Makes sense, because you'd have to get permission to be there.
You'd have to get permission to show
film,
it. Because we've actually thought about it. We've thought about it would be really interesting to show some of the really interesting houses. Sometimes you have interesting houses, and sometimes, let's face it, they're interesting because they're kind of wacky and weird, and you kind of make fun of them a little bit that are on the market. But you got to be careful. You can't just do that to somebody's house that's on the market. You might get in trouble. So what they do is you
can't de-advertise.
You can't de-advertise.
You can't put out negative advertising about somebody's house. That could be.
You could say it's in the public domain, but it's
some trouble.
It's really not, because having the house being a listing is putting it on the market on the MLS systems. But that's actually a system you have to pay to get into. It still is private property in the same sense that going to a club is private property, or going into any kind of a place where you have to pay to get inside is not quite public property. But anyway, so they when they go in and they go, oh, this is great, or oh, this is terrible. In fact, I saw a little clip from this particular Love It and List It show, and they're saying, well, we're going to list it. But they never were shown another house to buy, really. I mean, they were shown houses to buy, but they weren't really houses to buy. And
it was all staged.
It was all staged. And I've actually heard, and that was one of the things I've talked about for House Hunters too, is that they're almost always staged. And if you look up the instructions on applying to go on House Hunters, you have to already have your house found and that you're going to buy. And they sometimes show your friends' houses and pretend that they're for sale. And it kind of creates an unreal, some real estate agents said it kind of creates an unreal sort of perspective for people who are wondering, well, that house is listed at 800 and it didn't sell in our area, or 500, but it really isn't. It's just people making it up. What's really interesting to me, though, is one of the things on this Love It or List It suit is that neither the contractor they use had a contractor's license or the real estate agent had a real estate license in that area, which is like, wow. But I'm sure they're going to be able to say, well, we weren't really showing them to sell them. It was just all show.
Right. We weren't practicing without a license.
We weren't practicing real estate because there was no chance they could buy these. That's what they're going to say.
You don't need a permit to be an actor.
To be an actor, right. Yeah. So it's like, oh, is nothing sacred? Come on, I mean, I kind of like the real reality TV shows. I mean, like I remember most reality shows I don't like, but like the Top Chef or something like that. That kind of stuff I like, because I guess I believe there's a real contest going on. Or even the design shows. I'm not that into it, but you felt like there was some real drama. These people trying to create these designs for the fashion stuff with what's her name going, you're out. Before she had her accent corrected, which really made me lose interest. I love that. You're out. But
on Feeder saying.
On Feeder saying, that's right. That was great. But I hope I don't hear the story about how that was all fake too, because that will really break my heart. But this is really kind of sad. And there's more things. I have a list here of let's see, 40 facts you probably didn't know about HGTV. Now, one thing I want to tell you before we go into this, and Mike and I are going to alternate reading these off. But one of the things is HGTV is hugely popular. I don't understand how they can be so cheap about these shows. 100 million people are they have their. And I know not everybody watches HGTV that has it, but a lot of people, that's what you kind of go to as the default. If nothing better is on, you go to one of these kind of shows, yet they pay so very little. I have a few other shows to talk about, but 40 facts you probably didn't know about HGTV. You go off with the first one, Mike, if you would.
Yeah, the name's Mike.
Yes, Mike.
Over 2,000 episodes of House Hunters have been filmed.
2,000 episodes. I mean, not many shows can claim that. 2, people featured on House Hunters are already pretty far along in the process of buying a home rather than just beginning their search, according to former participants. I already said that, so it's kind of like a wasted one. Number 3.
According to one woman who filmed an episode of House Hunters, she and her husband had to film 5 or 6 takes on each scene.
So when they go, oh, that's great.
No, with more emotion.
Yeah, it's not real. They're acting. Number 4, participants in the show receive $500 for appearing. Participants on the international version make $1,500. Now that's probably that pays for the airfare out there. This is ridiculous. These shows are so chintzy. They're making lots and lots of money. They could pay people a little bit more to be on the show. I would think. That's pathetic. $500.
Well, that's one of the big advantages to producers of reality TV.
Yes.
Is they don't have to pay actors wages and
even though they are scripted in a sense, they don't have to pay writers the writer rate. There was big battles about that, or they didn't used to. There was this huge thing back and forth about whether it's writing or not when they say, okay, now we want a conflict between this person and this person. I don't know. Anyway, it sounds like they write basically one story and they use the same format all the time, so I don't know how much writing's involved. Okay, so
number 5. The current House Hunter narrator is Andromeda Dunker, who has also performed as a stand-up comedian.
Makes sense. Number 6, there are usually only about 3 people working behind the scenes on any given House Hunter shoot: a director, a camera person, and an audio person. And I want to make a point about this. I worked a lot with my my sweetie on events. She's a video producer, had her own company, and we used to have 2 camera people on many weddings and things, and that just
this
shocks
is really
me.
cheap.
Really cheap. Although they did have an audio person, which she would have loved to have. We just didn't have anybody. I got to admit, if you're going to have an audio person, is huge. People don't understand that when you're doing video work, it's good to have somebody who's totally dedicated to audio. And that's interesting that these guys have that. They have a director, a camera person, and an audio person. They only have 2 cameras, which is why if you look you don't see them going back and forth. They just kind of stage the shot. And then with camera person, you pretty much have to stage the shot. Okay, number 7.
The shoots generally take 5 days, although these days don't need to be all in a row. In fact, they might shoot different parts of the same episode weeks apart.
Oh, we had our little sounds being changed there. Here we are. Oh, our sounds are being changed. 8. The creators of House Hunters, Tara Sandler and Jennifer Davidson, have been a real-life couple for almost 25 years. Good on them. That was great.
This is scintillating.
Yes. Okay, that wasn't a great one. Let's get to the better ones.
Number 9, their inspiration for the show came when they were deciding on a new house and realized the potential for a TV program.
Okay, this is a good one. 10, Love It or List It is one of Hillary Clinton's favorite TV shows. Take that as you will, depending upon your political preferences.
Okay.
That doesn't mean she buys in either. Go ahead. 11.
Although
Mike.
rumors have swirled about Love It or List It, alleging that producers film both endings so they can help keep the results between hosts Hillary Farr and David Visentin even. Hillary has said in an interview, the show is not at all scripted, and reactions of the homeowners to renovation realities and bad news is very real.
Well, we've heard contradictory things.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm sure the reactions to realities and bad news is very real because apparently they're paying with their money. I always wondered about that. I always thought, is this really their money? When they say, it's going to cost another $10K to do this because we found, there's some water damage here or something. But apparently it is. 12, according to Farr, who is one of the hosts of Love It or List It, producers have returned to some of the homes of people who loved it, quote unquote, to interview the homeowners and film updates on the space. I think I saw one of those ones. 13.
Farr tried her hand at acting early in her career, appearing in movies like The Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Who was she in The Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Using her birth name, Hilary LeBeau.
And that was a while ago.
I think it was probably a minor role. I don't remember anybody but Janet from Another Planet.
Well, there was several interesting people besides Meatloaf, who's hilarious, but also there was the brother and sister, and then there was this younger woman. I wonder if she was any of those, but she was probably one of the minor people. There were a lot of people in the party and stuff. Anyway, 14. The show known as Love It or List It 2, T-O-O, is in the United States. It's called Love It or List It Vancouver in Canada. Distinguish it from the mini shows filmed in the Toronto region. So it's actually a spin-off of Love It or List It. Love It or List It. It's Love It or List It 2 in the United States, but in Canada it's called Love It or List It Vancouver. Number 15. Sir.
Drew Scott, one of the Property Brothers, studied kinesiology in school and has worked as a personal trainer.
Yeah, Property Brothers. Jonathan Scott, who's the other guy, was previously an award-winning magician. That's pretty weird. That's a little weird. That's a little strange.
Now you see it, now you don't.
Yes.
He was also asked to be on The Bachelor, but turned it down.
A wise choice, I would say. 18. The brothers note that while each episode focuses only on a few rooms, Jonathan and his team usually finished the entire home.
Usually.
Usually. We haven't had any lawsuits against them yet, so.
The program used on the show to create the 3D renderings of the finished rooms is called Nizo Renders. That would be probably pretty cool.
Yeah, I would like to that. Might want to put that on our website.
It's like a makeover computer-generated image before and after, before you do it.
Very useful. I mean, when you're talking about possible renovations or even moving furniture around. 20. Although he's single now, Jonathan, this is one of the property brothers, Jonathan Scott, was once married and even wore a kilt to the ceremony because apparently they're Scottish, the brothers.
The brothers Scott.
The brothers Scott.
According to a former participant in Curb Appeal, The Block, the homeowners met with designers weeks before they actually taped them discussing plans together.
So that's kind of, they've settled on plans and then they kind of go through.
I see a trend here.
Yeah, I see a trend. Yeah, that's right. 22, construction work is contracted out to local crews rather than using a regular crew that travels with the host and designers, according to the same man. That's for Curb Appeal, The Block. I actually like Curb Appeal. That was a pretty good show where they actually do the outside. It seemed more reasonable to me because you can do almost all that without getting permits, usually. And so I could just see them coming in and doing that real quick.
23, according to the host Scott McGillivray, renovations for the show Income Property take about 3 to 4 weeks, but homeowners are only involved with filming for about a week.
And see, it would take way longer than that just to get the permits in our area, so I don't know how they do that. 24, he also notes that the furniture is not part of the homeowner's budget, although some do end up purchasing the furniture and renting their apartment furnished, because Income Property is about fixing up a house to rent.
McGillivray was part of the boy band Next Element in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Showbiz.
Yep.
26, John Culinary, one of the cousins, has said that if he could design a kitchen for any historical figure, he would choose JFK. Okay, it's getting a little weak here, the 40. I think they padded the 40 out because that's really reaching right there.
Well, listen to this one.
What?
The cousins named their company Brunelleschi Construction in honor of Felipe Brunelleschi, a famed architect from the Renaissance.
They're obviously padding it with the crappy ones right here so they can end strong, I think. And I don't even know this one. I've seen a lot of these. The Cousins, I don't remember. The Cousins on
Call.
Yeah, the Cousins on Call once did an episode where they made over a media room for Khloe Kardashian and Lamar Odom. Okay, I guess that's kind of somewhat newsworthy.
Designer Genevieve Gorder revealed that she was in a relationship with Anthony Carino, one of the cousins, in a profile in late 2013, although she admits that she was off-put by him and his cousin when they first met.
I've seen Genevieve's show. It's pretty good. 30, among HGTV designers and hosts, Gorder says that Fern Yip is probably the most proper, while the others can get rowdy and swear a lot. Again, padding. Okay, they're construction guys. Of course they do, right?
Gorder is a classically trained violinist and once toured around the world.
32, she also used to work at Prince's Glam Slam nightclub in Minneapolis. Yes, that Prince, the one that just passed away. That's kind of interesting.
Before hosting The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, Chris Harrison hosted HGTV's Designer Challenge.
There's kind of this cross-pollination between the Bachelor shows and HGTV, which I find very odd. I would not have expected that. Now, this one's kind of an interesting one. Number 34. See, they're starting to get into the good ones so they can finish strong. This is interesting. I heard about this before because my sweetie loves Flip or Flop. A registered nurse saved the life of Flip or Flop host Tarek El Moussa. That's his name, believe it or not. When she wrote in, but I heard it was a he. The registered nurse is a he. Everybody assumes it was a she because it's a registered nurse. But anyway, I heard it was he. He wrote in to producers telling them that they needed to check out a lump on his neck that turned out to be cancerous. I heard that the nurse, he or she was binge watching the show and in different lights could see, and being a registered nurse knew about it. And it turned out to be cancer. And he's actually okay now, but he's like a heavy smoker. It kind of came out that, oh my God, it's kind of weird. I would have thought his wife would have noticed anyway. Interesting. 35.
The Flip or Flop hosts make $10,000 an episode, but have said that they only use money from past investments to purchase the homes you see them renovating on the show.
10,000. Again, that seems kind of weak, doesn't it, for an episode? I don't know, maybe not. But for both of them, 5,000 per episode. I mean, does it worth their? Oh, wow. I mean, that's actually close, but it's a lot better than 500.
Probably improves their flip success rate.
Oh, by far.
You got 10,000 in there.
Yeah, by far. Yeah. But it certainly pads, make sure.
36.
36. David Broomstead, winner of the first season of Design Star, has described fellow HGTV host Scott McGillivray hair as sticky. And then it says in quotes, parentheses, make of that what you will. I have no idea what that means. Maybe lots of hairspray, I guess.
Bromstead grew up wanting to work as an animator for Disney and did, in fact, work for them for a time before eventually reaching HGTV stardom.
38. Egypt Sherrod was already a radio media personality before she began Property Versions, having interviewed celebrities like Oprah and Beyonce. Beyonce. 39.
HGTV first premiered in December 1994 with a roster of 37 programs, including titles like Company of Animals, So Perfect, and Awesome Interiors.
Before they had all this suite of programs. Number 40, the last one, although I have another one to add to it. 40, HGTV can be found in almost 100 million homes. Come on, $500 per episode for people. Come on, that's just not ridiculous. And this is interesting, too. There are, House Hunters has 10 spinoffs. 10. That's like the CSI or something of house hunting or something. It's House Hunting Miami.
There's House Hunters or House Hunters
CSI
Internationals.
Yeah.
There are lots of different versions.
There are. And I got to admit the international ones are interesting. But I'm just saying, that is a very popular show. They only pay him $500? Come on. That's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. Anyway. So I think we're going to head for a break right now, and we'll catch you in just a few minutes with some more details.
Back soon.
Make Steve Manville your personal risk management counselor. Steve can tell you the best way to insure almost anything. Call the man you can trust for good, honest advice. In the same location for 17 years, Steve can help you with commercial and personal life, home, health, and vehicle insurance. The service is always personal, and you'll never have to talk to a machine. Call an 800 number or try to figure out a confusing website. Steve will answer all your questions, advise you on the best deal, and take care of all your insurance needs from beginning to end. Call Steve Manville Insurance Agency, 831-688-4459. Again, that number is 831-688-4459. In business for 17 years, we're a second-generation insurance provider. Are you facing one of life's many transitions? Is your family size getting bigger or smaller? Or maybe you're looking for that perfect vacation home or a smart real estate investment. Consider Thunderbird Real Estate. We are 37 honest and experienced independent realtors ready to serve you. Thunderbird has been operating locally for 40 years. We can help you buy and sell single-family homes, condos, townhomes, multiple family properties, mobile homes, or even vacant land. Call us at 831-475-8400 or visit our website at www.thunderbird.com. That number, 831-475-8400, and the website is www.thunderbird.com.
Welcome to the second half of the Mike Young Real Estate Hour. You are listening to KSCO AM 1080 on your radio dial. We're going to move now into the interest rate minute.
Or interest rate update, as we should call it, because it always takes longer than a minute.
Well, I'm just trying to put pressure on you.
Yeah, right, a minute. Well, I got so much to talk about. But the quick part, the minute part, is that interest rates have stayed relatively unchanged. They went up a tiny bit, 3 basis points. So they were 3.72. And remember, this is a very conservative, careful average of 30-year fixed mortgages. You could probably do better than this if you have fairly good credit. 3.72 last week. This week, they're 3.75, just barely up a little bit. Almost no one thinks they're going to go down next week, but many people think they're going to stay roughly the same. If you look at the sort of overview of what people think as the pundits, so to speak. So that's the interest rate thing. And I think a lot of it is just the dollar is incredibly strong. In fact, one of the issues right now with our with earnings haven't been that great because the dollar is so strong. I remember when everybody was saying, "Oh my God, they're printing money," when we were trying to get out of that nasty, horrible Great Recession, and it's going to destroy the dollar and everything. The dollar, if anything, is too strong, and it's just it's causing problems. For instance, Google, which did great for its earnings reports and its growth and everything, it looks like it did a little bit less. They count this dollar strength as taking 6% out of their like 17% increase in income this year from last year from just the fact that the dollar is so strong. So we have a harder time. It makes it look bad if they were making 100 million pounds in English. In great, British money, or 100 million euros, let's say, then that 100 million euros is worth maybe 10% less because the dollar is so strong compared to the euro or yen or that sort of thing. So they make less money, basically. So that's that. The oil is staying pretty low. But here's an interesting thing I wanted to bring up. One of the problems has been, the reason oil is so low is because China was gobbling up all the oil a few years ago, and now they're not. They're still increasing their amount of oil that they're drinking up by a little bit, but not very much. In fact, and this may be a sign that their economy is not growing as fast as they say it is, because they still claim it's about 6.6% every year, but its numbers for oil are not growing nearly that much. But then that's not the entire story, because China drowning in a sea of pollution is actually investing like twice as much in alternative energy as we are. About a third of all wind turbines are in the world are in China right now. And I think they're just they may be just getting a lot of their increase in energy from alternative energy. The big thing, the counterpoint to that is that India which is actually more polluted in many cases than China, is not doing a darn thing about alternative energy, and they look like the next big grower. They're about 7.6%, and they're a lot more transparent because they are, although they do have a lot of corruption, they are a democracy, a true democracy, and their numbers are a lot more open, whereas China's, you really don't know what you're getting because many of the companies are owned by the government and everything. So that's kind of interesting. So they may kind of start taking up that oil. But I think this whole alternative energy thing, with the way alternative energy, especially solar power, is becoming so cheap, is going to really put pressure on oil. And oil will probably be fairly cheap for people who want to use oil still. It won't get to the expensive, to the high rates it was, just a few years ago, where it was like $140 a barrel. That was way too much. $5 a gallon gas. So that's the interest rate minute.
Okay.
Or update.
Right. Another article I kind of ran into, which I really identified with, is how reality shows are creating problems for real estate agents.
Yeah, this is really true.
I would state it a little differently. I would say how reality shows are creating misconceptions.
There we go.
In the general population about how real estate is done.
Yeah.
And it's the first thing they bring up is, oh, I have to sign something? When you watch these TV shows, I used to watch $1 Million Listing LA, and these guys would meet, and
that's a fun one. That's so silly.
They'd be like talking to each other. Well, my guy can do 5 million one, and well, no, we got to do at least 5.3. And then they would be, let me, just a second. He'd call his client, come back. Okay, we'll meet you at 5.2. It's like.
It doesn't work like that.
You have a contract.
Nobody takes your orders. Very rarely. Sometimes you can get it done in a verbal way, but usually you need, if I try to do that, and I've had some clients just tell me that they want to do it verbally. They don't want to sign anything. And very rarely can I get that to work. You have to give them a signed offer or a counter before the seller's going to.
Sometimes you do exploratory things verbally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do.
But if you're not in contract, you're not in contract.
Right.
You're not buying the house.
Yeah. Doesn't mean a thing. Yeah, it's quite interesting. By the way, in the same vein as $1 Million Listings, there is a new TV show coming out, and it's actually online only I think. And it's got some great names, and it's got some great comedians, and it's a comedy. It's based on taking the $1 million property that thing. It's called Bajillion Dollar Houses. Literally, look it up. Bajillion Dollars, Bagillion, and it's got Patton Oswalt. It's got some great comedians on there as either buyers or.
I'll definitely look
sellers.
that up.
Yeah.
Funny.
It's pretty funny. Apparently, it's gotten great reviews. It's only a few episodes out, but I haven't seen it. But I stumbled onto that when I was researching for this show. And I'm going to definitely look at that Bajillion Dollar listing. That's a great idea. It's about time somebody made fun of those. One thing I noticed was it says, we've kind of gotten used to like wacky stuff from reality shows and contrivance and scripting, cocktail tossing catfights. But I just think we somehow thought it wasn't that serious with HGTV. It wasn't that bad, but apparently it has been. Earlier this week on a website called Hooked on Houses, former House Hunters participant Bobby Jensen called the show a sham. Jensen writes that the HGTV producers found her family's plan to turn their current home into a rental property boring and overdone, and therefore crafted a narrative. They made up the story about their desperation for more square footage. Desperation. How are we going to do it? HGTV will come in and save the day, or their designers. And the producers only agreed to feature her family after they had bought their house, forcing them to tour friends' houses that weren't even for sale to accommodate the sort of the trope of which one will they buy, which one are they going to choose? Oh, are we going to do this one or this one or this one? Oh, and then of course they already. So it's all fake. I'm really broken. It's like Santa Claus all over again.
Yep.
That's all he says. Yep. Get used to it.
Another myth is that buyers just pick out a house and say, I want that house, go get it for me.
Yeah. God, that's hard.
That's not the way it works.
Yeah.
Even if you've got a lot of money, that's not the way it works.
Yeah, especially in this market.
Right. There's a lot of times you have competition.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody who has a lot of money, I shouldn't say nobody, but most people who have money have it for a reason.
Yeah.
It's because they've made some wise decisions in the past.
Yeah.
And someone with that kind of money is usually going to want to investigate a large investment like a house before they plunk their money down. So you're going to be looking at things that don't play well on TV, like inspections, disclosures, reports, county records,
I actually think they would
permit history, all that.
I actually think they would play well on TV. I mean, I just think they don't have faith that these normal things would be that interesting. But there's something to be said for the drama of being in there with 8 other people trying to offer on a house and going, they countered us back at this much. And I never see it. I never see it on any of these shows where the agent says...
Too many cast members, you'd have to pay them each $500 apiece, and you're over budget already.
Right. And I never see the agent say, look, we got to walk away from this. It's just not going anywhere. This is there. Or the buyer saying, I don't want to go any higher than that, and walking away from that. Because
usually the way it's portrayed is a personality, emotional thing. They're not giving me what I want. They should obviously see. And some of that does happen.
Yeah, some of that does happen. Yeah.
I've seen a study that 75% of sellers are convinced that their house is worth more than it actually is.
Well, of course, yeah. That's just like human nature there.
It is human nature because they bought that house.
Yeah.
Because that was the house that they liked the best.
Yeah.
At least with the budget that they had at the time. But, of course, they're going to like the features and think that those are the desirable features.
Yeah.
And you have people who... It's interesting. Some people, I showed a house a couple of weeks ago. It was right on the freeway. I mean, it was on the street that borders the freeway. There was a sound wall there.
But still, yeah.
And I said, it's kind of noisy, guys. And they go, oh, we don't care. We live right by the freeway now. This is actually less noise than what we're used to.
A very similar thing has happened to me several times with that. I've apologized for a house because it's next to the freeway, and I go, this is obviously a notable thing. And sometimes you run into people that go, no, we're fine with it. That's what I always tell people. They have to. We've said on the show many times, you have to know what you're willing to deal with that is okay with you that might bring down the value of the house. You'll get more house for your money if it's in a noisy location like that.
And you kind of have to know who the person is that's looking at the house and what their current situation is. I've had people say, we live next to the metro station in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So we're used to all kinds of noises going off all the time. This is beautiful.
Yeah, this is great. This is quiet.
And it even has a tree at the end of the street.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So, there's always that. They don't show that kind of stuff, which would actually be kind of interesting. Or, and I actually think, having the disclosures come out and going, or the home inspector come out and say, hey, it looks like you're going to need a new roof. I mean, that's a real drama thing that comes up all the time in ours. They don't have to make up drama. They don't have to make up this sort of thing.
Right.
Or, and renovations, there's always something. And they do show this actually in the shows.
It would be tough though, because you're publishing on a national TV show defects in a house, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So,
but you should be showing that. I mean, you have to disclose that really anyway. And you show that you fixed it. You have proof. Like what's his name? Homes on what's the name of that one contractor who's supposed to be really good about fixing houses and homes on houses or something?
No, I don't know.
But he's really big on the inspector didn't find this, and this is all terrible work and fixing it up. I mean, they could show that they fixed it, and then it's okay, and that's great. I mean, that's good. That's good drama. But actually, I think it'd be kind of an interesting show to show. Many of the people I've worked with, we've looked at many houses before we found the one that was right for them, and there is a lot of drama.
I think
and
the
going,
national
is this the right
average
house?
is about 8. That people look at least 8 houses before they choose one.
It's been a lot higher than that these days.
Well, these days you find the house you want and make a bid on it and you don't get it.
Yeah, right. Maybe
so
8.
you look at another 8.
Right. But sometimes even without that, it's been a while. But I mean, just finding the right house, and there's a tremendous amount of drama that a lot of people go through, and I totally get this when they found the house and you're going through the escrow process, because you get that, is this the right thing? Is this the right house for me? And you find out some bad news from the home inspector or the pest inspector, there's going to be a little bit more money. It's just really, really a hard thing for people to do sometimes, to deal with that, because you're talking about your family's future, a huge investment. I mean, I think there's a tremendous amount of drama already there. They don't have to make up this fake drama. But anyway.
Well, you know how difficult it is just to move from one house to another.
Oh,
Even
I know.
if you're renting.
I know.
It's a total disruption in your whole routine. And
that's something too.
That's part of the deal that is often not talked about. Is
very true. Very true.
It's a very emotional thing, especially for some people to move, especially if they've been there a long time, or if they have family memories or something like that.
Yeah,
it can be very emotional.
If people have been in a house for years, for over a decade, it is really hard to move. It's like a truly painful thing. You see people get into fights, all that sort of stuff. I think we're going for another break here. Quick one. We'll be right back. So stay with us.
Stay tuned. We'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Make Steve Manville your personal risk management counselor. Steve can tell you the best way to insure almost anything. Call the man you can trust for good, honest advice. In the same location for 17 years, Steve can help you with commercial and personal life, home, health, and vehicle insurance. The service is always personal, and you'll never have to talk to a machine. Call an 800 number or try to figure out a confusing website. Steve will answer all your questions, advise you on the best deal, and take care of all your insurance needs from beginning to end. Call Steve Manville Insurance Agency, 831-688-4459. Again, that number is 831-688-4459. In business for 17 years, we're a second-generation insurance provider. Are you facing one of life's many transitions? Is your family size getting bigger or smaller? Or maybe you're looking for that perfect vacation home or a smart real estate investment. Consider Thunderbird Real Estate. We are 37 honest and experienced independent realtors ready to serve you. Thunderbird has been operating locally for 40 years. We can help you buy and sell single-family homes, condos, townhomes, multiple family properties, mobile homes, or even vacant land. Call us at 831-475-8400. or visit our website at www.thunderbird.com. That number, 831-475-8400. And the website is www.thunderbird.com.
Welcome to the last 15 minutes of the Mike Young Real Estate Hour. Before we get back into the reality TV theme, I wanted to talk a little bit about market update. What I did this time is I usually do a 12-month history, but I decided to go back 3 years this time.
Oh, okay.
And look at the 3 counties like we normally do. Monterey County in January of 2013 was right about $300,000 on the median.
Wow.
Right now it is very close to $490,000.
That's an increase of about 50%. No, more than that, 60, 70%, 60%.
Santa Cruz County was at 425, I should say.
Wow.
And it is now at 794.
Wow, that is about the
794.
About
I mean,
65,
part of that is
70%,
prices
yeah.
going up. Part of that is we're selling different types of homes.
Yeah, that's really true. That's really true. Take that into account. A lot of the sales back then were the less expensive homes. Now we're getting back into the more expensive homes. So the median goes up. That's just the way that statistic works.
Okay, slogging through this. Santa Clara County was down to the measly amount of about $650 in January of 2013, and it just topped $1 million. It is now $1,065,000. The
For your
median
price of a house.
So
in Santa
basically,
Clara
your
County,
3-bedroom, 2-bath, stucco rancher, 1,500 square foot,
$1,060,000.
$1,060,000.
In a not a great neighborhood, not a bad neighborhood, standard.
Just the
neighborhood.
average.
Yeah.
Just the average.
Wow.
And now I've got a little stat on California. Median price in California, the month of March, $483,000. That is only up 0.3% from 1 year ago.
So it's slowed down. We've there's all at the beginning of a recovery. There's always a really quick increase, and then I think we have a steady sort of plateauing, sort of.
Right. Now that's California as a whole.
Right. Which really seems to mirror Monterey, as you pointed out many times.
Right. But when you get up towards Silicon Valley,
yeah,
it's actually still steaming along lot more than that.
Yeah.
The national median, 223,900.
Wow. Yeah.
So just keep that in mind is when you're thinking how these prices around here, you could buy nothing in Santa Cruz County, for instance, for that price.
That's 223, you said?
223.
Now, remember,
Rounded
that's the
to
median.
224.
That means to balance out all these expensive ones, there's places where there's houses like 100.
Less
or
than 100.
less than 100.
Yeah, there's a lot less than 100.
A lot less than 100.
Different subjects.
So, yeah. So, nice places to retire, although maybe not our nice weather here that we have
Okay, let's
here.
cruise through this because I want to get this all in.
Okay.
I've got a couple deals for you people out there. One of them is local. It is actually a triplex. It's bank owned. It's been on the market for 64 days. It's a little triplex. It needs a lot of work. It's on the market for $399,900. But I have it on a good source that the bank will take a lot less for that. What typically happens with these bank owns is they hold on to it.
Yeah.
The bank agent tells them what they think it'll sell for, the real estate on the ground in that county that's actually handling the deal, and they ignore that and they put it on for more. And then 60 or so days later when they figure it out, they just chop it. But the real way to take advantage of the situation is to make an offer before they chop it, make a low offer that
they'll be happy to accept.
Exactly.
Before they drop the price down, and then they get a bunch of offers because they drop it down to a reasonable amount.
Right.
There's very few of these bank-owned properties, particularly multi-res like this, and this is in San Luis Valley somewhere.
Boulder Creek.
Boulder Creek. Yeah,
12175 Monan Way.
A lot of work, but wow, that's a pretty good deal.
Right. Bring your contractor.
Yeah. Might
One
need
more
all
deal.
cash. Might need all cash. Call us about that. Call us about that
Yeah.
if you're interested. Call Mike
The other thing is,
or me.
here is a property that my buddy over in Albuquerque, New Mexico sent me. This is a 12-year-old condo community fourplex.
Wow, a fourplex.
3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square foot unit, 2 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 900 square foot, and 1 2-car attached garage. This brings in about $3,200 a month in rent,
Wow, that's pretty good.
and they're asking $385.
Where are you going to get that kind of number? That is incredible.
It's a fairly new build. It's in the growing section of Albuquerque to the northwest, in that area called Rio Rancho. And if you are interested in this property and want more information, give me a call. My number is 831-234-1545 or Mike at MikeYoungProperties.com.
Yeah, that's do call about those if you're interested. And these are not fake; these are real properties for sale.
Right. No reality. This is not reality radio. This is
real
radio.
radio. Right. This is real. These are really true. Speaking of such things, somebody who was searching for some of these things, who was sleuthing for some of these things.
For what things?
These HGTV sort of fakery type stuff. They were watching a recent episode, and they were treated to house hunting of a person called Paul Sloan and his wife Suzanne in Los Angeles, and they were being told, all this story about how he has a marketing job, he's going to go buy a house in an island somewhere and all that stuff. Well, it turns out that they tracked these people down, and they don't believe any of it's true, that they didn't even leave. It was all baloney, and they're not. And yeah, it's pretty wild. It's completely not true. That was House Hunters International, probably. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, it seems to me like when you actually boil it down, it's not too surprising that a television show would be a television show.
Well, they pretend to be real, though.
They do pretend to be real, which is deceptive.
I mean, when we watch a show of Castle, we know it's not real.
Right.
When we watch a show of CSI, we know it's not real.
But we think it's realistic, but not real.
Yeah, those we think is realistic, but not real. But even those are kind of dumb sometimes.
But every show has to start and end in a finite amount of time,
Yes.
and they don't have really time to talk about or educate people on a lot of the really important points of real estate.
Uh-huh.
So it's the timing that it takes, the research, all that stuff that may or may not play very well. If you've only got 50 minutes, they're going to try to look for emotion, drama, that sort of thing.
Personal conflict and personal relationships too is what they do. There's a lot of times they have a conflict between one of the, he likes country and she likes modern, or vice versa, or stuff like that, and trying to find that fit, and it's all baloney.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, right. Oh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
She likes modern.
Yeah.
Yeah, it dates back to that. We're really just watching reruns of shows we watched when we were kids, I guess, really. It just repackaged in different ways, in a million different details.
Right. But actually, if you're going to buy a house, you don't want to do it like a reality TV show.
No, and that's probably...
Another thing that cracks me up is they give them 3 houses and say, okay, pick one. Which one is it going to be? You got to pick one.
That's my favorite stupid thing. I mean, I actually saw a joke about that where it's like, my realtor... They said they had this person crying, my realtor has been watching HGTV and they'll only show me 3 houses. And I have to choose one. Which, of course, isn't true. I've shown many people 60 houses, almost 100 before they bought one.
Right.
And that's what happens. And sometimes they don't even buy one then because they didn't find what they wanted. That's just the way it works.
Or sometimes they get old, or
yeah, right.
Their circumstances change.
Or their market increases too fast and they can't get what they need.
Some people really want it, but they can't emotionally pull the trigger.
There's
when
that too.
It's that time.
And I can understand that. Like I've said before, it's a very emotional thing buying a house. Even after you bought a house, the second house it's still really trying. I've had
the first one is probably the hardest, and for some people doesn't bother them.
Yeah, a lot of people are having an easy time with it. I don't know.
I have some people who are just saying, "Oh, I know
totally
there'll be some things wrong with it, and I'll have to fix them over time." And really, as a real estate agent, we can do we can do a lot to point you in the right direction, but there's no real guarantees other than all we can do is put the odds in your favor.
Yeah. We just work on these things. We try to help as much as we can, but a lot of it is an emotional. I mean, well, you're dealing with tremendous amounts of money here, and it's a big risk. And we talk about diversification with financial planning. A lot of times you'll see, but when you're buying a house, you're not diversified. You're putting it all in this house. So by its very nature, there's a gamble there. That's why you have insurance and things to kind of mitigate those things. But
and you're signing up for a 30-year loan. I mean, that's a big commitment.
Right. That's actually the one thing I would tell people. I tell people a lot is everyone approaches it as if they're going to stay there all 30 years. That very rarely happens. I'm not saying it never happens. I'm just saying chances are you're not going to be there 30 years.
We might see that now.
We might see that with the low interest rates.
The rates are so low right now.
Yeah,
it might be the
true.
lowest they have been. I mean, it is the lowest they've been in over 30 years.
Oh, yeah.
And it may be another 30 years before they get this low again. So we might see that slowdown in people like swapping out, I want to pull out 20,000 or 50,000 to do this or that, so let's refi.
Yeah.
Because suddenly they're going to give up that low rate. I mean, in 2 or 3 years, say it's 5.5%, 6%.
Yeah, it'll make it hard for people to switch. It'll be like, and everyone who has that low rate already and a house will be like, I can't afford to move. There's no way I could. I'll be paying much higher interest. So you do have that situation. So yeah, I don't know how long the rates will stay low. Everyone has always said they're going to go high, and they keep getting lower or staying low. So who knows? But at some point they'll go up. But just because nothing stays the same forever.
Dennis, why don't you tell the nice people how they can get in contact with you?
831-227-6930, 831-227-6930, and dennisbcasey@gmail.com. And you can always call the station and get our contact information that way too.
And if you want to get hold of me, Mike Young, you can call me at 831-234-1545. Again, that's 831-234-1545. If you've just got questions you want to ask, or if there's property that you're interested in or thinking about selling, you can call me or Dennis, no obligation, and we'll come out and check it out for you and tell you what we think.
Yeah, or if you want to see a house that's on the market, we'll do that too.
All right, everybody, stay tuned for the Cannabis Connection.